My name is Serge Plaskart. I grew up in Belgium, been in the Bay Area for 15 years, married, 5 children, and I'm in sales.
All right. And
I'm Joyce Menina. I was born in San Jose. I work for the VTA. I'm an electronics tech. Basically, I fix trains for a living.
so she keeps things moving around here, which is good for those of us who have to drive on the freeway. So we keep people on the train. A few years ago, you guys found yourself in a physically broken place, a place where your health was not where you wanted it to be, and you've since made some changes. Would you just give us an idea of where did you find yourself and what was your motivation to change? And Joyce, we'll go ahead and start with you.
In 2009, I weighed 330 pounds, and we were planning a trip to the Caribbean, and I wanted to go snorkeling. And there was no way I was putting that body in a bathing suit.
So a little bit of vanity, but good, whatever motivates us. And Serge, tell us a little bit about where you found yourself and what got you to make some changes.
Yeah, it was 2004 where, I've always been a very active person. I mean, for a lot of people, they don't, exercise is a chore. For me, I actually enjoy it. But in 2004, I got to a situation where, because of health issues, I just couldn't be physically active anymore. I went from, if I tried to even do 5 minutes of walking or whatever it may be, I ended up on the couch for the rest of the day exhausted. And so a lot of doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, and went through a period of about 2 years where I went from 170 to 130 pounds, and really not knowing what to do.
You put on about 60 pounds in a 12-month period?
Well, I would say, yeah, probably about 12-month period, yeah.
Okay. And obviously things have changed since then, so I'm curious, what did you do to make that change? And Serge, we can start with you. What were some of the changes you had to make?
Well, I think, over time as I started out, I was really depressed. I felt like God took away the one thing I really liked to do, and so you started with angry and frustrated with God, and as I went to different doctors, tried to figure a solution, and nothing would come up, I just felt after a while that He had abandoned me. But as time went on, I really got to a point, God brought me to a point where, look, I'm still His child, and He still loves me. And I got to a place of acceptance. I mean, not acceptance in terms of, oh gosh, woe is me, this is going to be the way it is for the rest of my life, but really to a point where, okay, this is the new reality for me, but let's continue to work towards improvement. And so that really was a point where the moment I was able to do that, I got back out on the bike, and because I'm a cyclist, that's what I like to do. And instead of going on a hardcore 3-hour ride, which I like to do, I went out for 20 minutes and just took it easy. And that was good enough for me then at that time. And then working with some other medical professionals, finally figured out what was wrong. And so that allowed me to slowly kind of improve things.
And what did they find? What was
I had a fractured vertebrae, which caused nerve damage and nerve pain down both my legs. Also had some heart issues.
So broken back, that'll slow you down.
Obviously, yeah.
That's the thing. Joyce, what about you? What have you done to make some of the changes?
Diet and exercise, and
No magic pills.
No magic pills.
Sorry, everybody. Tell us a little bit about your diet. So what are your calorie intake and some of those things?
Between 1,200 and 1,400 calories a day.
Yeah. Okay. There are some restaurants you go to that a single item will have 1,200 to 1,300 calories in that steak and mashed potatoes and all the other yumminess. And you run a lot as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I try and do. Well, right now I'm training for a bike race, so it's 100 miles a week and about 15 miles on running.
Over the years, though, you had dieted before. So what's different this time than kind of some of the other times in your life?
Over my lifetime, I've lost about 450 pounds. I'm really good at dieting. Keeping it off, not so good. Just before we went to the Caribbean, I was diagnosed with cancer. And the motivation now is if I keep the weight off, I have a better chance of the cancer not coming back.
So we've moved from vanity to this is a lifestyle decision, right? This is something that you need to do just for your health. And it's allowed you to stay consistent with your eating and exercise and so on. Great. So, Serge, you already told us a little bit about the spiritual aspects, more from the perspective of what it was like as you were gaining weight and realized that you couldn't exercise the way you wanted to. And Joyce, I'm curious for you, how has God kind of fit into this, and has there been any kind of spiritual insights that you've received because of the exercise?
God loved me when I was heavy, and God loves me now. It's a consistency.
So you have always experienced, or at least felt, God's love. So
correct.
Awesome. So somewhere in your life, there's people who built into kind of that healthy, and you grew up in this church.
Yes.
So, whoever it was in our church that helped you with that, that is awesome to have that kind of viewpoint. Today in church, we're going to be talking a lot about community and how community can come alongside us and how important it is to plug into community. So I'm interested from you guys, and Serge, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about the community aspects of your exercise and your life right now.
Well, as an introvert, cycling is the perfect sport. You can just go out by yourself and be alone with your thoughts and all of that. But there is definitely a community aspect to this because, life's busy and it's hard sometimes to fit in the bike ride. So getting up at 5:30 in the morning when it's cold and dark and sort of 34 degrees, especially in winter, you need some guys to kind of spur you on. So there's a group of guys that I ride with 3-4 days a week. And so the night before the ride, somebody will send out an email and say, hey, are you in tomorrow morning? So then when I say, yeah, I'm in, then I better show up, right? So that's very helpful because otherwise I'd probably just, turn around in the bed and sleep another hour. And the other thing is a lot of the guys, actually most of the guys that I ride with are stronger than me. So that encourages me to work hard and to get better. So there's multiple aspects to that, yeah. And
that's a good lesson for all of us in all aspects of our life. Having community around you to encourage you on, to be a bit of accountability, to motivate us, but also to have somebody who's gone down that path ahead of you that you can rely on or to at least help encourage and spur you on to be better at what you're doing. So that's great. Joyce, tell us a little bit about how community has kind of been part of your journey towards the whole life here.
I got challenged, you've heard this before from several people, Changing Lives Nicaragua. In November, I had run my first race run, say walk, the turkey trot, a 5K. And then that following April, I actually ran the Santa Cruz half marathon. To do a half marathon, they require you to do at least 16-minute miles or better. And I'd been doing 13 and a half, so I was well within, the margin. And about a mile out, they reopened the race course to traffic. So I moved over, and now I'm fighting with pedestrians. But okay, I'm well within time. I think I'm doing okay. I come flying down the hill, because it's a downhill just before the end. Makes you feel good and fast. Come around the corner, and there's an 18-something-year-old girl, and she's holding the medal, and she's kind of looking at me like, why do I think I deserve this? And in my head, I'm screaming, I'm 57 years old. I just ran a half marathon for the first time. Give me the medal. But of course, I didn't say any of that. I just kind of smiled and kind of waited till she reluctantly handed me the medal. And so I have this medal in my hand, and now I'm looking around for my community that I've been practicing and running with. And I found I was alone. I was one of the slower ones, so everyone else had kind of gone home. And I kind of felt like maybe I'd failed. Maybe I just hadn't measured up.
Yeah. And that's an interesting lesson for all of us. One, when we do our race on August 1st, we're going to be waiting until everybody's done, so we don't let this happen again. But Joyce was part of our training runs on Saturday mornings, and I remember for me, when I was out training, even if I'm going back and Joyce was still going out, because Joyce and her husband Bob have been in our community group for 10 or 11 years, I knew her journey, and for me it was an encouragement to go, if Joyce can do this, I can make it to the end and I can finish this. So she had been encouraging to me, and then to know that me leaving was a discouragement, it stings, it hurts that you didn't kind of reciprocate that. And so for all of us, if you're part of a community, realize that when you're present in the good times and the bad times, that just being with somebody is encouraging. And the other side of that is when tough times come or you're not able to be present, it does affect the people in your community. And so I appreciate you sharing that with us so we don't do that again. So Would you guys, would you give them a round of applause? We really appreciate you guys telling us your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you.